Hello, everybody. This is Leandro Palladino speaking to you as a member of the YLT SIG in conjunction with the Inclusive Practices and Special Educational Needs. We're going to do a joint pre-conference event on the 20th of April. That's a Monday before the big conference begins. And we are lucky enough to be doing a hybrid event this time. And we are lucky enough to be talking to one of the speakers, Boelo van der Pol. I hope I said that correctly. You know that I've been
Yes,
practicing.
absolutely. Perfect. Perfect. Thanks, Leandro.
Thank you for being here, Boelo. Would you like to say a few words about yourself, about your interests, about why you are such an important speaker for us at this PCE next April?
Wonderful. Thank you, Leandro. Well, the why I'm such an important speaker, that's up to you to decide. I mean, you said it's important. No, but well, as you said, my name is Boelo van der Pol. As you can see from my surname, I'm Dutch by birth. Probably hear from my accent as well. I've been living there, well, born and raised in the Netherlands, so to speak, but I've been living in Spain for slightly over 30 years right now, which is also the amount of time that I've been in the language teaching realm, industry, world, however we wanna call it. I've had several positions in language schools. It's all private language teaching. I've always worked in. I had my own language school for 25 years as well here in the south of Spain in Malaga, and I've always been. I'm going to say a little bit obsessed by why certain students or some students who are otherwise capable and intelligent seem impossible to pass a certain level of English, like a certain threshold in English, or they basically seem incapable of learning a language. I did a degree in coaching and emotional intelligence, so I have a background of language coaching as well, but it still wasn't enough to help these students. And then I stumbled on the world of special educational needs, and this is when I saw the light. Basically, this is about 8 years ago, and so for the last 8 years, I've been specializing in um, language teaching strategies, material as well, specific strategies, inclusive strategies for neurodivergent students. So we're talking about dyslexia, ADHD, autism, dyscalculia, dyspraxia here as well. And actually, this is also 8 years ago when I realized I'm dyslexic and ADHD myself. So I always knew that there was something different. I'm not saying something going on, there was something different with me, but I never knew what. And honestly, this whole world had opened a completely new, new world for me. This and it's been
And
so far. It's been an amazing journey.
you were already working with neurodivergencies by the time that you figured it out for yourself.
I had literally started 3 months ago. And it
Oh,
was literally my first interviews with neurodivergent students, with dyslexic, with ADHD, with their mothers, with special educational needs coordinators as well, and speech therapists. And I thought like, wow, this is me. You're talking about me. This is I'm like you. My brain works exactly like you, and it
wow.
answered so many questions. It was a beautiful revelation, I can tell you.
Wow, wow. And speaking about your talk for the PCE, you have these three words in the talk: a tale of teens, dyslexia, and self-esteem. How do we put together without spoiling the talk too much, of course, but
Yeah, no spoiler alert. We still want people to come to Brighton on the Monday, which they should. Yeah, it's the teens, what was it? The teens, the self-esteem,
teens,
and
dyslexia, and
teens
self-esteem, a
dyslexia. Yeah,
tale of those
tail off.
three.
Yeah. Well, first of all, because I think storytelling is one of the best ways to teach, and especially for people with a neurodivergent mind, we like to have things in context. And what is a better context than putting something in a tale, in a story? And it's also because since I've been doing this, I've been in touch with a lot of psychologists, psychiatrists, speech therapists, special educational needs coordinators, specialists in the field, researchers in the field, and everything I've read always, and everything I've spoken about in conferences I went to, was always very technical. It was always about remediation here, activities there, etc. It was all about how can we help these students overcome their weaknesses, etc., etc. And I came to a point when I realized, also from my own coaching and emotional intelligence background, when I saw like nobody ever asks about their self-esteem. Nobody ever wonders about how they feel. And there's this psychiatrist, Michael Jelenic, and he wrote an article, a very short, tiny article in American Psychologist magazine. I think it was back in 2010 or 2014. And in this article, he mentions that he reckons that by the time an ADHD child is 10 years old, he or she will have had 20,000 negative impacts in school. 20,000. That's a lot. And negative impacts in school, it can be something like telling you off. It can be something like not giving you a turn, like yes, you. Oh no, not you. Yes, yes. It can also be eye rolling. Oh, you again. It can be anything. It's the negative. And I always go like, and that's by the time they're 10. And this is where the teens come in, because they still have to become teens. And we all know how difficult it is to be a teen, So imagine how difficult it is to be a teen with a different brain, with a dyslexic, ADHD, or autistic brain, and how difficult it is to be a teen with such a brain around teachers or an educational system that is not built for you. And that's what I want to address, because what I have seen in my own practice over the last 8 years is that for me, the one and foremost thing that I would always work on was self-esteem. And I would always say to the mothers, and I still do whenever I speak to a mother of a dyslexic or ADHD child, I always say, the first thing we want to do is to work on your child's self-esteem. And the reaction of the mother is always the same. Thank you. Because they very well know that this is exactly what their child needs. And it's not easy. I'm not going to say it's easy peasy, but it's not that difficult either. It's a matter of, and no spoiler alert here, but it's a matter of having some techniques, knowing how to do it, and a lot of patience, and most of all, empathy and love.
Those techniques is what I'm sure we'll all be looking forward to listening to when we see you on that Monday, the 20th of April. Yes,
Yes.
I'm sure we're going to have a great day. Yeah.
I'm
Would you
very
like
much
to?
looking forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. You made me think as you were speaking that it, to some extent, is to see the student as a person first, and then as a learner, and then as a student, let alone as a student of an additional language, I suppose, is it
Yeah.
not?
Yeah, it is. It is exactly. I remember very well. About 6 years ago, I was working on an international project on special educational needs, and I was surrounded by researchers and experts in the field in a meeting. And halfway through the meeting, I mentioned it. I said, "Has anybody asked anything? Has anybody wondered if we should do something around self-esteem and emotional intelligence?" And then the whole room went quiet, because they all realized that nobody had thought about the emotional intelligence of the student. And this is when they went, oh no, I was actually thinking of eye tracking. I was thinking about this activity. I was thinking about that. It was all technicalities, and nobody was really thinking about how do these people, how do these students feel? And this was students in general, but in our case, how do these teens feel? Because I'm going to say it again, the teen years are probably the most difficult years that anyone can face in their life. It's so life determining, that between 10 and 18, 19. So when you have a neurodivergent brain, you can multiply the difficulty, I'm going to say, with 5, minimum with 5. So this is how important it is, what we're going to talk about on that Monday in Brighton.
Wow. As a parent of 3, I find it even moving to hear you speak so passionately about how difficult those years, challenging, if not difficult, they can be. But of course, with these additional challenges, it makes so much sense that we are addressing these issues as educators, whether we are
Yeah.
teachers of a language or not, but
Yeah,
educators.
challenging and defining. I mean, there's data out there that says that when you have a dyslexic brain, or even an ADHD brain, when you have a dyslexic ADHD brain, you are more likely to end up in jail as when you don't have a neurodivergent brain, but you're also more likely to become an entrepreneur and to become a multimillionaire. so
Wow.
and I always say this to teachers. And I always say, I mean, I'm not going to say that you're the one who will determine if your student will end up in jail or become a multimillionaire. But hey, we do spend quite some hours with these kids, you know. So maybe we do have some influence on where these children might go in the future. And obviously, I'm giving you two very distinct, very extreme examples, and there's a whole range in between as well. But it does mean that a person with a different functioning brain, which is a neurodivergent brain, has the possibility to go either one way or the other, and a higher possibility than a neurotypical person, so to speak. And I do believe that a lot of that comes from how you go through these teen years.
Wow, that's so powerful. Those two sides of one same coin, which is the child, the teen, the adults that they will become. Would you like, as we close, to share any final word, any thought, maybe tell us a little bit about some project that you're working on, anything that you'd like to close with?
Well, first of all, everybody should come to Brighton, and if they can't make it to Brighton on the Monday, then at least sign up for the online event because it's really going to be an amazing boot camp. I'm pretty no, I'm 100% sure about this, and just to mention as well that I will also present in Brighton on a different day because I'm working on a worldwide survey on a research among neurodivergent language teachers. So Monday is going to be about neurodivergent teens, but on Thursday I'm going to talk about neurodivergent language teachers because obviously we too matter. You know, it's not
Wow.
only the students, it's also teachers. And I can tell you that there's no research on this, but I have a hypothesis that the prevalence of neurodivergent conditions among language teachers or teachers in general is higher than among the general public.
Mm. How interesting. If my SIG duties allow me, I will certainly be there to see you in your other
Wonderful.
talk as well. So thank you very much for your time. I
Thank
really
you,
look
Leandro.
forward to seeing you there on the YLT Inclusivity Bootcamp. Thank you for reminding me of the word because that's how we thought that the realities of our two SIGs could be brought together. Young
Yeah,
learners and teenagers. Inclusivity Bootcamp is what we're going to be doing with 5 speakers, including Boelo on Monday, the 20th of April, either in person in Brighton or online if anybody watching this would like to join. Thank you so much, and
definitely.
I'll see you in a few
Thank
months.
you. See you in Brighton.
Okay, bye for now.